Over the past 15 years, taxpayers have spent $12 billion on stadiums, which helped pay for these bells and whistles.
At the home of the Dallas Cowboys, here's what you also get. Real art by world-renowned artists.
The Party Suite is all about watching the game or concert in style.
You can do bottle service, you can set up, come in before the game. You know, you get the snake skin, you know, they add the gold H so everybody knows where you're sitting.
There are 14 party cabanas and 2 pools watched by lifeguards that look down on the field. Just look toward the end zone. Yep, those swimming pools are inside the stadium.
The home run sculpture in center field.
When a marlin hits a home run, marlins are going to dive, flamingos are going to flamingo, doves are going to fly.
Flamingos will flamingo, they say, and as with most bells and whistles in stadiums, taxpayers and cities will help pay the cost of the stadium with public stadium funding. Public stadium funding is when public funds from taxpayers are utilized to pay for private stadiums. When the professional sports we know today started, all stadiums were paid for with private money. Now, according to Harvard professor Judith Grant Long, 78% of stadium costs fall on the taxpayers. Cities pay for these stadiums using tax-exempt municipal bonds, which they repay with interest. Cities usually pay off these debts using new or increasing old taxes, such as sales and hotel taxes, therefore putting the majority of the costs on the taxpayers.
I believe that public stadium funding should be abolished for a variety of economic reasons, including the fact that stadiums have a negligible economic impact on the cities, and the fact that the public funds should be utilized to pay for public services which are already underfunded.
The first reason why public stadium funding should be abolished is because of the negligible economic benefit stadiums have on the city's economic growth. One reason for this is explained by economist J.C. Bradbury.
Yes, on game day, stadiums do provide jobs for people like ushers and stadium food vendors.
Hey, beer guy!
But those are just the seen benefits.
The unseen cost is that those people would otherwise be spending their money elsewhere in the local communities. At the local bar, there's one less bartender. There was one less waitress hired at another restaurant. A movie theater that had one less theater full. It's handing money from your right hand to your left and declaring I'm rich.
You can't see the person who doesn't get hired.
Absolutely. It's the classic seen versus the unseen.
In other words, what J.C. Bradbury is saying is that families would spend their money on local venues regardless if a sporting event is present in the local area. Another factor contributing to the negligible economic benefit of stadiums is the fact that teams keep all the revenues from sporting events. Just listen to Miami Marlins president David Sampson.
You get the income from naming rights?
Yes.
You get the income from concessions?
Yes.
You get the luxury box income?
Yes.
You get the income from non-baseball events?
That's the whole object of this, is to get more revenue.
The very direct David Sampson clearly states that teams try to keep all the revenue they can. As a result, cities lose out on millions of dollars worth of revenue, like naming rights, which generate an average of $2 million a year. This further negates the economic impact stadiums have on cities, as cities pay for construction costs without being given any cut of the revenues. As cities shell out millions for stadiums, public services such as public education are being criminally underfunded. For example, in Detroit, $12.8 million per year is taken away from the children and teachers of Michigan and given to billionaire Mark Ilitch so he can make a new stadium. Here is Joel Kotkin talking about public stadium funding in regards to public services.
Well, I think the important thing that we've forgotten is, what is the purpose of a government? We have constant water main breaks, the roads are in terrible shape, and then we're going to give money so a bunch of corporate executives can watch a football game 8 times a year? It's absurd.
On top of all of this, when cities use public money on stadiums, they sometimes find themselves in dire need of that money to fill budget gaps. For example, in Hamilton County, Ohio, the county had to spend more than $50 million on stadium debt for the Reds and Bengals stadiums, and as a result, they had to sell a public hospital, cut 1,700 jobs, and delay payments for schools. The loss of money might not even end there, as taxpayers are on the hook to pay for things that have not even been invented yet.
Are also on the hook for all kinds of future bells and whistles, some that haven't even been invented yet. At some point, taxpayers have also agreed to pay for a holograph replay machine someday.
Overall, cities should stop paying for stadiums as they have a negligible impact on the economy, and the money should be saved to fund public services.